Alright guys, today we're going to do our last video on verifying trig identities. And I'm going to make this video nice and short tonight to give you time to actually do a lot of practice of these problems. So I am only going to work one problem with you today. Alright, and the problem I'm going to work is 1 over 1 plus the cosine of theta plus 1 over 1 minus the cosine of theta. I'm trying to prove that that's equal to 2 plus 2 cotangent squared theta. Alright, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead, I'm going to start on this side because it does look to me much harder than this side. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by getting a common denominator. So do you agree that my common denominator is going to be 1 plus the cosine of theta times 1 minus the cosine of theta? Alright, so let's look at your first fraction. Right now his denominator is 1 plus the cosine. I need it to become 1 plus cosine times 1 minus cosine. So do you agree I've got to multiply him by 1 minus the cosine of theta? Which means I multiply the numerator by 1 minus the cosine of theta. So I have 1 minus the cosine of theta. Now, try to resist the urge of going ahead and canceling those out, because doesn't that get me right back to where I started? Okay? So resist that urge, it's not going to help you. Alright, come over here. What does the second fraction need? He needs a 1 plus a cosine of theta. So I get 1 plus the cosine of theta. Alright. So in my denominator I have 1 plus the cosine of theta times 1 minus the cosine of theta. In my numerator I have 1 minus the cosine of theta plus 1 plus the cosine of theta. Now let's see what we can do to clean this all up. So my numerator, 1 plus 1 is 2. My negative cosine and my positive cosine disappear. And in the denominator I have this. Well, isn't this a binomial times a binomial? So do you agree that I can come over here to the side and I can go ahead and FOIL it? So 1 times 1, 1, plus the cosine of theta, my inner minus the cosine of theta, my last minus cosine squared theta. So do you agree that here a cosine and a cosine disappear and I'm left with 1 minus the cosine squared of theta? Now, that ought to be saying, hello, I happen to be someone special. 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. And I think I've done about as much as I can do. But when I look back, that's not what I need. So I'm stuck. So when you get stuck with one side, what do? You go to the other side and you try to meet in the middle. Alright, and I'm going to unzoom just a bit. So let's see what I can do up here. Do you agree that they have anything in common? To me that 2 stands out, that I believe I can factor out a 2 and I'm left with 1 plus the cotangent squared of theta. That looks familiar, doesn't it? 1 plus cotangent squared theta. Maybe that's one of my Pythagorean identities. Let's look. 1 plus cotangent squared. Oh, look right there. It's cosecant squared. So this is 2 times the cosecant squared of theta. Well, what is cosecant squared? Now, guys, I understand right now most of you see that you got it, but in my mind, you have not proven it yet. I need these two to balance. So let's write him as 2 over 1 over the sine squared of theta, which is 2 over sine squared theta. Now they met in the middle. Okay? And we're done. So what I'm going to let you do, the more of these you practice, the better you will get. So the video lesson is going to be done. I need you to now work on the next few trig identities that are on Weebly for you to earn your homework credit for tonight. Alright, and we will practice a little bit more in class tomorrow.